Hello and welcome our beloved viewers to RTD's News English Edition. As usual, begin tonight's news with the major and top highlights. Let's follow. A MANFOB delegation on an official visit to Havana, Cuba. More than 50 million Italians are called to the polls in the international scene. Those were our major top highlights. Welcome back to our newsroom, our beloved viewers. The Minister of National Education and Vocational Training, His Excellency Mr. Mustafa Mohammed Mahmoud, at the head of a strong delegation from his department, traveled to Havana, Cuba on 21st of September for a high-level visit at the invitation of the counterpart, Dr. Ena Elsa Vasquez Escobela. The delegation was welcomed at Havana Airport by the Ambassador of Djibouti, Mr. Nasser Mohammed, who accompanied the minister to the various works scheduled with the Ministry of National Education of Cuba. A working meeting co-chaired by the two ministers in the presence of their collaborators allowed the two parties to present their educational system, focusing on three areas: inclusive education, vocational training, and digital and audiovisual professions. It is worth mentioning that the Cuban Ministry of Education has national educational challenges that products various educational and artistic programs. The MANFOB expressed its expectations in the field of inclusive education in terms of the approach adopted by the Cuban education system, which is a reference at the international level, but also in the sector of training multidisciplinary. Training specialized in the care of children with special needs. Following this sharing of experiences, it was agreed to formalize this collaboration by signing a framework agreement. To this end, a joint technical team was set up by the two parties to look into the subjects in the draft the framework. As part of his official visit to Cuba, the Ministry of National Education and Vocational Training visited three schools in the areas of collaboration identified: inclusive education, in particular the care of children with special needs, vocational training in the digital and audiovisual professions. On his arrival at the Shers Alonso School, the Ministry of National Education and Vocational Training was welcomed by his counterpart, Dr. Ena Elsa Vasquez Cobela, and her Vice Minister in charge of primary education, as well as the school's management staff. The Cuban Minister of Education and her team first presented at the overview of their educational system for children with special needs, especially autistic children. This was followed by a guided tour of the school. The MANFOB delegation then went to a primary school where physical education and sports are taught more intensively with an hourly volume of 3 to 5 hours per week. This is aimed at the development of children and in the long term will help to encourage vocations in various sports. The tour ended at the end of the day with a visit to a multi-purpose technical high school specializing in telecommunications, IT, automation, and electronics. The MANFOB delegation was able to learn about the Cuban vocational training system, where the key to success lies in the strong involvement of companies at all levels, the design of programs, training, and the care of trainees formalized by incentive institutional framework. In addition to fruitful exchanges with the managers and teaching staff, the warm welcome and enthusiasm of the students impressed the members of the Djiboutian delegation. During their stay in Cuba, the minister and his delegation will continue to hold working meetings and visit educational structures of reference. The Ministry of Environment, in charge of sustainable development, His Excellency Mr. Mohammed Abdul Qadir Musa Hilm, received this morning the coordinator of the United Nations system in Yemen, Mr. David Grizzly. The two officials discussed various issues of common interest in the fields of environment, especially on provision and establishment of an aid system for Yemen. The ways and means to further strengthen cooperation between UN agencies and the government of Djibouti. The Minister of Environment welcomed the delegation from New York this morning and reiterated his unwavering support for any needs that may arise. And for his part, the UN diplomat Mr. David Grizzly thanked the minister for his availability. He said that the government of Djibouti has been working for a long time in close cooperation with the UN institution. The meeting was attended by the Secretary General of the Ministry of Environment, Mr. Dini Abdullah Umar. The meeting was also attended by the coordinator of the National System in Djibouti, Mr. Jose Barona, the Director of Environment, Mr. Hussein Rirash. As part of the 2022-2023 school year, the President of the Commune of Balala, in partnership with the Coordination of Association of Balala, which is also known in short as CAB, and the NGO ABED, participated in the distribution of school kits to more than 300 young children from the most vulnerable families of the territorial community of Balala. This year, through the efforts of CAB, and particularly thanks to the support and donation of the NGO ABED, the Commune of Balbala has decided to give school kits to all the orphans and students for vulnerable families selected through these different statistics, said the President of the Commune, Mr. Mohammed Hassan Said, during the ceremony handing over the school materials which was held under the Commune of Balbala. He also indicated that these schools kits are composed, among others, of bags and various school supplies. The President of the Coordination of Association of Balbala, Mr. Idris Muhammad Ahmed, the Vice President of the Community, Mr. Suleiman Ali Suleiman, the representative of the NGO Abed, as well as the various representatives of the neighbor council were present, who did not spare any effort to mobilize and inform more closely the parents of students, who said they were pleased with the initiative. The parents welcomed this gesture in the municipality of Balbala and the CAB in the presence of its president, who suffering in words of the parents is important circumstances. And this through such actions of partnership, the president of the community of Balbala, always animated by a spirit of self-sacrifice in the service of Djiboutians to plant the seeds of sustainable development, plans to improve the living conditions of the inhabitants of the commune of Balbala. The fight against all forms of illicit trafficking is intensifying in Ali Sebeh. A search and control operation carried out yesterday at the border by the Ali Sebeh Customs Brigade in collaboration with the police detachment of the region led to the seizure of a large amount of contraband. The smuggled goods, consisting of alcohol, beverage, milk, and some 26 large bags containing smuggled khat, were intercepted during a simple routine check. The smugglers wanted to bring a large quantity of the product to the city. The police and customs officers who collaborated in the success of this operation subsequently inserted the entirety of the goods seized on the spot. According to the standard procedure in forts, this quantity was destroyed on the spot by the Customs Brigade in the presence of the head of the Ali Sebeh Customs of Brigade, Mr. Muhammad Mu'min Hassan. Shifting gears towards the international scene now, the number of confirmed cases of Ebola virus disease in Uganda has risen to 11, with 3 more deaths recorded as the East African country struggles to continue the deadly disease. The Health Ministry said in a statement Friday that in the past 24 hours, 4 more cases have been recorded, bringing the cumulative number of confirmed Ebola cases in the country to 11. Teams from the Ministry of Health are currently in Mobent district, the epicenter of the rare strain of Ebola virus, to conduct contact tracing. A total of 58 contacts have been identified, according to the ministry. More than 50 million Italians are set to vote on Sunday to elect their parliament, where, bearing any surprises, the far right expected to come out in force, and in an unprecedented move proposed the Prime Minister who will succeed Mario Draghi. Polls open at 7 a.m. and close at 11 p.m., by which the time the first exit polls giving a clear picture of the results. At just 45, Giorgio Meloni, the leader of the post-fascist Fratelli d'Italia party, which has nearly a quarter of the vote in the last polls, is the favorite to head a coalition government in which the far right would largely dominate the classical right. Well, by this, our beloved viewers, we conclude this edition. Thank you for being with us, and make sure to tune in later for more. Have a wonderful evening, and thank you once again for joining us. Take care.